Now, no more of these Janata Darbars. But what was the need of these Darbars in the first place?
Ruchika rightly said, in fact, today the Aam Aadmi Party and its style of functioning stands exposed in front of the country. As I had told you in the previous debate as well, I still repeat, and I said that unconventional style of functioning, it may be romantic, it may be cinematic for a few days, but it is only silent governance thereafter which matters. So I believe the substantiative governance that I was talking about is the essence of any government, any functioning. If you cannot deliver on governance, I believe thus gimmickry and just tokenism would not suffice, first. Secondly, and most importantly, I believe the concept of Darbar and Darbari in democracy is a feudal lord attitude where a few ministers are seated on the chairs while the people with all kind of problems are in front of these feudal lords to listen to them and to hand over their problems. I believe democracy, which is a layered structure in the sense that we have layered structures in democracy, the taluka, the district and then the center. So redressal of the people's problem should also be layered. If you have impeccable charactered officers placed at every step, so I believe you don't have to worry at the center. Only the problems which fall within the zone of no solution should be taken up by the chief minister, whereas the personalities and the officers placed at the various levels of democracy should be the one who should redress the people's problem.
All right, so this is a lot about allocation of work really, and having a team of people work for you to ensure that these grievances are addressed. But look at the other chief ministers. There's several other chief ministers who actually hold these public meetings, some from the BJP, some from the Congress. We know Ashok Gehlot almost used to have a daily public hearing mechanism of sorts with the people. How do they manage, and why exactly do you think the Aam Aadmi Party will come up with an idea which has now been termed as a spectacle by many?
The most important issue is as to why the Aam Aadmi Party's initial Janata Durbar concept failed. I believe because of the hurriedness that it showed. And the reason as to why it showed the hurriedness without putting structures and organization into place is probably because it wanted a televised advertisement of sorts for the run-up of the Lok Sabha election 2014. Secondly, as to how the other states are managing such kind of public redressal system, let me bring in over here the fantastic public redressal system called as Swagat of Gujarat, which has received a lot of accolades, not only from the government of India, which is a UPA government, but also accolades from the United Nations. So in the Swagat system, we had layered redressal system in which the talukas look after their own problems, the districts with their own problems, and everything is through the internet and through the modern technology application. At the end, it is Mr. Narendra Modi at the helm of affairs who addresses that which cannot have been addressed by any other system. Over here, if you go to the records, you would find that the redressal systems success rate is approximately a whooping 92%. So I believe one has to divide work first and foremost. Secondly, one has to divide the whole issue in a sense where structured and preparedness comes first.
All right, at a time when you have emails, text messages, helplines, why exactly would you go for something like this? But at the same time, we had Aam Aadmi Party leaders also suggest that you have to have a personal connect with people, which is why they call their model of governance a very participative form of democracy, where they're going to get directly in touch with people. But do you think with this failed idea, at least one idea that seems to have failed, and now they themselves seem to have conceded that it hasn't worked, we're going to drop this idea right here and right now. It also, in a way, hammers the point that the BJP has been making that they are novices, they really don't know how to govern?
Yes, Ruchika, look, fantastically put. As you first said as to why they came up with such a novice idea, I would say, look, there's a famous English saying that because God could not be everywhere, He created mother. And just in the similar manner, the chief minister cannot be everywhere. That is why we have MLAs. You know, that's the way. The MLAs are nothing but extensions and extrapolation of the chief minister in the respective constituencies. So naturally, if the MLAs, as the BJP has been reiterating, that the MLAs moves and addresses the problems door to door, I believe the chief minister just has to redress in totality and a holistic manner. The problem with the Aam Aadmi Party is somewhere gimmickry and tokenism is gradually occupying the center of their performance. It is not governance anymore. And ironically, I do not want to sound accusing, but ironically, the television channels have picked up this method of gimmickry and it is advertising it. Please, I believe that this is not the right way for democracy. It has to be silent governance.
All right. It's interesting how the BJP now seems to be complaining about the television channels focusing on just one leader and one particular party, because earlier it was the Congress that was complaining about Mr. Modi getting so much attention. Dr. Patra, I'll come back to you. At this point, I'll have to take a very short break, but when we return, we'll talk about this one big idea of the Aam Aadmi Party, the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi, which they have dropped right now. There will be no more Janata Darbars in Delhi.